Hello everyone and welcome to Cinderful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the Grey. Today's video we're going to talk start collecting Warhammer Age of Sigmar Warcry, and today we're going to take a look at the Darkoath Savages Warband for Warcry. Now this is one of the many different Chaos Warbands for Warcry, and in fact this is one of the ones that came out inside the Red Harvest box set. In today's video we're going to talk about all the models that come inside this box set, which you'll be able to buy separately for the Darkoath Savages this coming weekend. And we'll talk about what they can all do on the tabletop. We'll then take a look at some different models we can bring in, normally allies, because this is, one of the full warbands, so we've got some allies we can bring in to really give something different, or indeed sort of work alongside our warband nicely. And then finally, we'll finish off the video with a sample 1000 renowned warband for you to use some inspiration to create your own Warcry warband, or indeed copy ours if that's what you wish to do. And so, let's talk about the contents of the box set. And first of all, we have the Slaughtermaster. This is the leader option for the warband, and he can come in a couple of different options. Realistically, he's toughness 4, move 4, 20 wounds. He can have his Great Blade, which is going to be 5 attacks, strength 4, and 2/4 on the damage. Or you can choose to have him instead with the Great Axe, which will change his damage characteristic over to 4 attacks at strength 6 to 5 damage. So a couple of different options you can play around with the Slaughtermaster. We then have the Godspeaker, who is the weird crone mage in the middle. And a really fun model. The Crone and the Godspeaker there, she's got a couple of different abilities she has access to. First of all is Visions of Glory, where you roll a number of dice equal to the value of this ability, and for each 5 or 6 you gain an additional wild dice that can be used from the start of the next battle round. This is just a really cool ability, especially for a double. A really high double here, potentially knocking you, another 2 or 3 or 4. It could even be lucky. Get a 6 and then roll all 5s and 6s, getting 6 additional wild dice. You can just make so many things happen for your warband. Remembering that you can't ever stack wild dice on top of each other. You can only use them to, make doubles or make triples or make quads. You can't turn a double into a quad with wild dice. But these give you, extra abilities throughout the rest of the game. So really cool, especially if you can get a good double right early. She's also got another ability called Curse of the Withering for a triple, where you pick a visible enemy fighter within 3 inch and roll a number of dice equal to the value of this ability. For each 4 to 5, you subtract 1 from that fighter's toughness until the end of the battle round. For each 6, you subtract 1 from the toughness until the end of the battle instead. Now alongside these we have the Wrath Touch, which has a cool ability called Furious Rampage. You roll a dice for each visible enemy fighter within 3 inch and allocate 1 damage point for each 3 to 4, or on a 5 to 6 you allocate a number of damage points equal to the value of this ability, and it's for a triple. The Wrath Touch is pretty cool as well. A good solid stat line on that Wrath Touch. Only 12 wounds, toughness 4, but 4 attacks at strength 4 and 1/5 on the damage. It is really nice. If you can get some crits into that, really solid stuff. We then have 2 Proven. These are the 2 warriors you can see on the far right, the ones on the larger bases, the good old one that looks like that old Hero Quest Barbarian mini. Fantastic model. Now you can have either the Proven with the Great Axe for some more damage, or you get a bit more attacks going with the Great Blade, but both of them are 12 wounds, toughness 4, and a couple of attacks, generally strength 4 or strength 5. Really nice. And lastly, we have the Glory Seekers, which come in a variety of different options. You can choose to have the shields, you can choose to have axe and spear, or you can choose to have 2 hand weapons, or indeed even hand weapon and shield. So there's quite a few different options for your Glory Seekers here to have, which is pretty cool. Generally they're all about toughness 10 wounds on toughness 3, strength 4, and do about 1 or 3 damage based on sort of their profiles. A few different options there, but really this is a cool warband that has a lot of different options with models. You can see all the different options there with them, which is really cool. But where can we go to look at some other things to bring in? Well, first of all, like I said, there are just so many options in this kit. I really do think picking up a second box of Darkoath Savages is a great way to go to give you all the different optional builds you can for your models. You could have 2 or 3 of these and they really would do some work. They are a solid unit. It's got a lot of different variety in the kit, which is really nice. You can run a double with your Slaughterborn, you can have the Great Axe and the Great Blade in there, you've got all the Great Flowers, the Great Swords, the Great Axes on your Provens, you've got all the different options, double touched or double Godseeker is really cool as well. So a ton of different options you can play around with in that kit. Looking at some other allies to bring in, this warband really is all about combat. So I think looking at some combat-focused heroes is something to definitely consider. Something like the Darkoath Chieftain, who is toughness 4 with 25 wounds, puts out 4 attacks at strength 4 and 2/5 damage with his big old broadsword, which is really nice. He can do quite a bit of damage. He's got some cool abilities that he can play around with, like Death Blow, where add the value of his ability to the damage points allocated by each hit or critical hit is really cool. And in general, he's just a good, solid model. You've then got the Darkoath War Queen. She's a little bit more defensive on what she does than the Darkoath Chieftain. She's got toughness 5 instead on 25 wounds, but she is 2/4 on damage rather than 2/5. So she is a little bit cheaper. She's a bit more defensive. A couple of different options. Toughness 5 is something you've not got a lot of in those Darkoath Savages, so she may be something to consider as an ally. We lastly have the Chaos Sorcerer Lord. I think he's a really interesting option. For me, he's got the Demonic Power ability where you can pick a visible enemy friendly fighter within 80 inch, and until the end of the battle round, you add one to the strength and attack characteristic. This is a really nice fighter to sort of boost up the power of a bunch of different models in your Darkoath Savages. Definitely something to consider sort of using as a nice little buff piece to play around with your force with. All in all, like, you're generally wanting to go, probably delve into more combat-orientated stuff with this, or getting more buff pieces to make your pieces better in this. I don't think you're generally lacking. You're not having too many sort of fiddly, weak pieces in the force. Your big hitters in the Darkoath Savages generally hit quite hard. Anything that can sort of boost your crit value, or your chance to get crits, or your damage and crit values is all really what you want to add to your Darkoath Savages, I think. And so here we go. This is the sample warband we've gone obviously Chaos Grand Alliance, and we've gone the Darkoath Savages Allegiance. With Slaughterborn, I've gone with the Great Blade. I do think just getting the extra attacks in the way you can sort of get some extra bonuses out of some of the different abilities you've got access to, like the Death Blow ability for a quad where you add the value of the damage points allocated to enemy fighters for each hit or critical hit is really nice. Not to mention you can just sort of like consistently make sure with Visions of Glory that you're going to potentially have some extra wild dice to sort of add to all your forces. And not to mention, your Slaughterborn also can use Display of Brutality, where you can use this ability only if an enemy fighter has been taken down by an attack, and you can make a bonus move or a bonus attack action. So a pretty cool fighter. Trying to just get through as many sort of hits as possible is really useful. We then have a single Glory Seeker with Great Axe, a nice little extra bit of higher power damage, and then 3 Glory Seekers with shields, generally to be sort of objective grabbers for the Force. We've got the God Speaker in there because why would you not? I think it's one of the best pieces available to the Darkoath Savages. I don't even think like running... It's not... The only reason you would ever run double of a God Speaker, I think, is for redundancy. You generally won't be using that same double twice. Or, you know, you might if you've got a couple of high doubles, but I think generally you're probably wanting at least a God Speaker. You'd never, ever not want to take that model in your force. One proven with Great Axe. I think the higher damage is just needed. You've got your Glory Seekers there to hold ground. And the Wrath Touched in there as well for another really good damage dealing piece. For the ally, we went with the Darkoath Chieftain. I just like him. I think he adds a ton. He'll make really great use of all the doubles and stuff you can try and get out of the force with the God Speaker. And just in general be pretty hard to take down. Wounds wise, 121 is pretty decent, and 995 renown. You've definitely got some room and to play around with. Like I said, you could probably drop the Darkoath Chieftain and try and take the Sorcerer Lord. You'd probably have to drop one of your Glory Seekers at that point. Or you could try and get in a second Slaughterborn, which could be really cool to add some more hitting power instead of the Darkoath Chieftain, and potentially try and get in that Sorcerer Lord. Or, you know, go for a couple of Wrath Touched if you really want to go for a little bit more glass cannon style play. But if you've been playing Warcry, if you've played with the Darkoath Savages, let us know how you've been going down in the comments below. Love to hear from everyone. And so that is the end of the video. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment down below and let us know what you enjoyed about the video. If you'd like to come chat more with me and other members of our little community here at Sinful Gaming, we've got a link to our Discord server down in the video's description. And if you'd like to help support the channel in another way, you can do so either by joining Patreon or YouTube members, or purchasing something from our Ko-fi web store. All of them are linked in the video's description. Thank you all for everyone who chooses to help support the channel. As a special thank you to those people who have supported via Patreon and YouTube members, we'd like to give a special shout out to them all. So a shout out to our patrons Christian Weir, James, Soren, Greenskins Gaming, AJC, Kenny Lowe, Outer and Shop First, Andrew Bowen, Nathan Fee, The Rising Ape, Cure Dynamic, Agu, Anthony B, Anton Nielsen, JJ Austrian, Average Wargamer, Domir, Mark Harvey, James Cater, Dyna226, Derek, and GRP390. A special thank you to our YouTube members, Green Roots Gaming, Kenton Young, Chris Wallace, Ronya, Vinny, Lockloric, The Johnny84, David Ellsworth, Revenar, Wolfric Nick, Broken Chef, Ariana Edwards, Sean Scott, Pink Nico Fire, and Robin Mankiller as well. Lastly, a special shout out first of all to Lady Witchfox Art, who does all the amazing artwork for the channel you see, and to Xmorphic, who has done an amazing job at setting up our Discord server for her and making us have a nice place to content and to chat with all of our community. Thank you all for watching once again, everyone. Stay safe, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the grey. Ciao for now.